Hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me. As usual, I was having some sound issues um, with that badass intro. Still so ghetto. I haven't even had time to mess around with it, and I don't know how to take it off now. So it is what it is. Hi, everybody. How are you today? Good, good. Um, so again, I don't know the whole YouTube etiquette thing. If I'm supposed to go through and say hi to everybody, I would rather just say hi, everybody. I'm super glad everybody's here. A lot of people that are always here. Oh, but I'm going to call out Seawood because they're not able to make lives very often that I've seen. Okay, my lives, because I've only done, I think this is my third live stream, maybe. Anyway, so yesterday, I think we started to wade into the bullshit. We got like ankle deep. We didn't get too deep, but we got sidetracked with Durwood and then Daniel coming into the chat. And I tried my best to address it, and I think we did pretty good, all things considered. I mean, you know, there's a certain amount of drama that comes with them. Shelby, true enough, not waist deep like Daniel, but I do plan to get waist deep today. So hope you got your waders on. But as I say, in pretty much everything that I do lately, my brain is a whiteboard, and every day I try to wipe it clean. To try to look at these things without judgment, without my biases that I already have. And I missed a lot of what went on in chat yesterday because I was trying my best to stay focused on what I was trying to cover. And I know I got sidetracked and distracted by Durwood and by Daniel and the things going on just because I'm so paranoid about this becoming one of those other environments. And I think everybody knows now that I desperately want to stay away from that kind of crap. So I was extra super paranoid yesterday that it was going to go sideways. So I kept getting sidetracked. I can. And so I missed a lot of what went on in chat. And when I was, believe it or not, I did rewatch as much as I could today. But the 4.5 hours, 3.5 hours, that can't happen all the time. Hi, Angry Rabbit, and everybody else. I'm sorry I didn't call you out by name, and now I find it easier just to, as people come in. So maybe next time come in a little later, so I'll just, call you about calling everybody out. Hi, everybody. But anyways, I missed some stuff in chat, not by Daniel or Durwood, but by you guys. Good questions or comments or things that I should have addressed, but I literally just missed them. So I want to spend a little bit of time today just kind of going over. I do have a few timestamps so we don't have to watch the whole 4.5 hours before we get started today. But there are some things that I do want to address, mostly in chat, right? Obviously, nothing I said is. You can go and watch replay if you want to hear what I was saying, but so that's what I'm going to do for the first little bit today. I'm going to pull up my own live. Kudos, credit, full fair use to me. Just a minute. I don't think I'm struggling as badly, but it's still a thing. So I don't know how to make this full screen, so I'm not even going to try. But I will read it to you. 3:17, 3:18, 2:35. Okay, so first of all, something happened at 2:35, and I don't have like what it is, but there is something on each of these timestamps in chat that I wanted to address. 2:35:34. Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not going to be able to hit the
I don't know.
exactly, so we're going to have to listen a little bit. I'm bringing up these mute documents now. Hi, Randy. Hi, Kraka. Steve. Justice for Lily and Jack. Hail yeah. Nova. Hello. Hopefully today won't be as sidetracked. And maybe, no, I'm going to wait for that. No, maybe I shouldn't because my menopause brain just doesn't let me recall information. So while it's on my mind, I want to say this, okay? And I think it's part of the chat that I want to address. We were accused yesterday of being, I think it was a pro Daniel channel. And I can understand the way chat was kind of being monitored, and I was asking everybody to be respectful and blah, 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 all of that. And so I could see how that could come across as being pro Daniel or sympathetic to that narrative or however you want to say it. But I want to make myself perfectly clear. I have not wavered in my own personal opinions since shortly after Daniel and I had our conversation. And that is up to and including today. What I'm doing now is I'm trying to be as unbiased and fair as I can to look at all of the information, right? I am not pro Daniel. I am not pro Janie. I am not pro Durwood. I am not pro Malaya. I am pro Jack and Lily. I am pro wanting answers and clarification for myself and for you guys. I think nothing bad can come from wanting that. So if you think that because I'm asking people to be adults and to treat other adults with respect, whether or not you like them, if you think that is being biased or censoring or anything like that, then maybe this isn't the channel for you to watch, because that's all I'm doing. But hey, Stepha, Johnny, everybody. I would also like to point out that all three of them, Janie, Daniel, and Durwood, I'm just going to throw something at you guys, and I really want you to consider it, that you guys have absolutely no proof that Jack and Lily were taken and are being hidden. It's good to have hope, and I'm not taking that away from you. But in my opinion, you guys need to do exactly what I'm doing and stop not considering any other possibility, because it is a fact that Jack and Lily did not vaporize. That's really all we know. I think collectively, there are very few people that believe Jack and Lily wandered into the woods and the drones and the searchers and Daniel, and nobody saw them, nobody caught them, nobody infrared didn't see them. I think most of us are on the same page with that. So if you really truly want answers, then you have to take everything that you think you know and admit that you don't have proof, because if you did, the kids would be home. So you need to open your mind, just like I'm trying to do, and look at all possibilities, right? We're going to look at a chart a little later on the Government of Canada's website. We're going to talk through it. But I want the three of you to really consider any other scenario and stop telling people to be more open-minded. Stop asking people to stop attacking you, because here in my channel, you're going to be able to, I don't want you in here causing shit, but if you're going to come in here and you're going to answer questions, the more the merrier. But it is not a pro Daniel. It is not pro anybody. but I also will not put up with disrespect. And I also will not put up with pushing a narrative. We need to open the communication. We need to open the dialogue to figure out what could have happened to the kids, because none of what we think we know is working, right? So let's stop doing that. Clearly, nobody can see this chat. So, let's see. I wonder, is there a way? And I'm much less shaky today, just so you know, but I'm still shaky, just not as shaky. How's that? Ooh, pretty good, Charmaine. Way to go. Man, I hope this isn't what I was looking for. It might be. It might not be. We'll play it. But because I know Explorer had something that I wanted to address. This wasn't it, but I will anyways. Durwood thinks the Mi'kmaq Child and Family Services intervene and walk the kids off the property, that it's legal to do so. And I beg to differ and ask for a website. My thoughts? Hi, Chelsea. And Roots. Nice to see everybody. This is great. My thoughts about that, no offense, Durwood, but this is ridiculous. Ridiculous. To think that any agency, I don't care if it's First Nations or the Government of Canada, RCMP, any agency would allow the resources, the money, the broken budget spent on looking for Jack and Lily, would allow it to go on for 5 months for no reason. Zero. So no shade, but this is ridiculous. If you really think that, I'm sorry, but come up with a better theory. Because if you, like I said, to me, you guys just need to open your minds and start considering any other possibility. Any other possibility. That's the only way we're going to figure this out. If the RCMP, if what you guys think is right and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or they're not working hard enough for you, then let's figure it out. Let's talk. Let's figure it out. And we're not going to do that by pushing a narrative that either doesn't make sense or we don't have proof of. And you can't say you have undisputable proof because the kids aren't found. So, Durwood, what did I say? No shade. This is the thinking this way, and only this way, Durwood, is exactly what I mean about being closed-minded. You need to open your mind and consider other possibilities. Government agencies are not going to allow this kind of resources to be wasted if they know where the kids are. I wish you could understand what I'm thinking. I mean, no disrespect to you. I really don't. But this doesn't make sense. Okay? So all I want to do is open the dialogue with you guys. That's it. Just consider other possibilities. So coming in here and saying that and assuming that I'm attacking you, go ahead. That just proves that you're not listening to me. So I'm good with it. Whatever. Let's move on. I said my piece about that. I'm going to play because it did say my timestamp is 2:35:34. So a few more seconds. I think that's probably the one that I wanted to hit on. Oh, that's tiny. How do I do this? Yeah. Does anybody look? The next one was 2:42:30. How does that look on you? And this is, like I said, this is literally just looking at chat things that happened while I was distracted. They don't go outside unless somebody's there watching them. Can we just hear that? Like, oh my God. Let's go back to the following. Chat was is a summary of the dispatch, and this is footnote 1. May 15th, 2025, I read the PROS event detail report for this file. This report details and The distress information compiled by the Operations Communications Center on receiving the report of the occurrence.
42,
And we
42.
did listen to a lot of that the other day. Okay. I did have a couple of notes, but not for these first two. Maybe this is just because it's when Daniel came into the chat. I don't know. Let's move on. 317. I can't believe I stayed on that long yesterday, you guys. That's just ridiculous. $28. Up until it was light the next morning. He remembered getting an email that Malaya had marked the kids absent from school on his phone.
Like I said, it's not about what Daniel had said on Friday. I don't think
Daniel later said Malaya had to get redacted on Thursday between 12:40 and 1:40 p.m. So he thought they must have done that before they went to school.
To get answered.
Daniel could not remember if I don't know if her questions were answered the way she was hoping they would be answered, but I do know that okay, so I wanted to say that I do not think that deleting questions here is necessary. So if Durwood and Daniel come in here and people, Kim, I think the echo is because I'm playing my own live and I've got the volume really low on that, but let me know. If I'm still echoing, let me know because I've got it paused. So, but anyways, I don't think, because the mods were asking me yesterday and I totally missed it. They were asking me if they should be deleting comments or blocking people. And the answer to that is, for the most part, no. I mean, if something is outlandishly, rude, then you can get rid of the comment. But I think that if Daniel and Durwood come in here with the temperature of YouTube and the way things are, if still Kent, but if they know what they're walking into, and we're going to try to keep it respectful as possible. What the hell? But I don't think you need to be, that sucks. I don't think you need to be deleting comments, right? Is Durwood still talking? Like, are you upset? Or is that what? You're just wrong, in my opinion. It makes sense to many, and that's fine. But are you able to open your mind and consider any other possibility that doesn't have anything to do with Malaya taking the kids, First Nation taking the kids, Daniel hurting the kids? I'm looking for every and any possibility. I mean, if you're able to do that, you're welcome to come with me, but let's figure this out together. But if you're going to have tunnel vision on what you believe, you can keep working at it all you want, obviously. But, it doesn't upset me. It doesn't upset me. I just want to make myself clear. I am not trying to be pro anybody, and I'm not trying to kiss anybody's ass. I just want to open the dialogue between everybody. I know Malaya is not going to talk to anybody, but the answers are somewhere. They didn't vaporize. So your comments don't upset me. Don't mistake my politeness, or just don't. We're good. I'm good with everybody. I am Switzerland. Kim, yeah, so, okay. So yes, my audio, I understand there's probably an echo when I'm playing the video because my voice is on the video and it's reverberating into my microphone. So that's why I tried to have it muted, but it didn't. So anyway, whatever. Moving on. Kim, Daniel in the beginning wanted cadaver dogs and now they're there. Daniel says the kids aren't in the woods. I think Daniel hasn't believed the kids are in the woods for at least 4 months. At least 4 months. Daniel didn't believe the kids were in the woods when I talked to him. And that was at the end of May. So, I don't blame Durwood for not saying anything either. But I do not rip him apart. I mean, I will defend that here on this channel because I do not think Durwood was lying or is lying. Never have said that. I'm asking Durwood and Daniel to open their minds to any other possibilities so we can talk through it. To open the dialogue instead of close it, right? So, I mean, think what you want, and if that's how you feel, maybe this isn't the place for you, because I don't attack people. Other channels might, I don't. I'm brand new, so welcome if you're here to participate and help us walk through all this mud that we all seem to find ourselves in. But yeah, so that's what that one was about. I don't think there was much more on there. It was just about that. And then there is a 318:44 comment, I think, and I said not all of this is pertaining to stuff. I think the big one that I wanted to address was being pro Daniel, pro, and that's not what I'm trying to do, right? If it's coming off that way, I apologize. If you're going to say, you know, I'm out because I'm asking people to be respectful to another adult in here, when there's no proof that they've done anything wrong, only suspicions, then respectfully go away. Oh, Esther. I wanted to talk about Esther because she was kind of losing it yesterday, wasn't she? She thought that because Daniel was in chat that I needed to stop everything and just ask him all my questions. And I've made it clear since day one that's never going to happen. Not here. We want to go through this stuff, try to do it with a different perspective, with a clean slate, and we want to share all opinions respectfully. If you have proof of something that you're going to say, feel free to share it, but I'm not talking about conjecture. I'm not talking about speculation that we heard on Facebook. I'm talking about proof. And I mean, there's no proof of, there's no proof that the kids are gone. There's no proof that the kids are being hidden, right? But they have to be somewhere, and we're not going to find them if we. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So that's all I want. Just open your mind and let's talk about this stuff and stop pushing things that we believe because we believe them with nothing to back it up. But anyways, Esther was losing her mind because I wasn't asking Daniel any questions, and this is not the forum for that. If Daniel wants to answer my questions, he knows what my questions are. I have messaged him again. He leaves me on red, and I get it. I understand. But hopefully everybody can see that I'm trying my best to be unbiased, and I'm trying to just get to the bottom of certain things. So Daniel, if you watch this, you know where to find me on Messenger, and we can talk. Just clear the stuff up. We can talk, and I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to attack anybody. In fact, when we get into listening to Janie's stuff, there are new things that I've heard, and I have more, more personal insight to some of the things that Janie has said. So, Angry Rabbit, I just get upset when they swamp chats with misinterpret. Same. And I don't think that I will say they swamp chats, not all chats, with misinformation. They swamp chats with information they believe to be factual, right? Is that a better way to put it? A less accusatory way to put it? And I think that we all want answers so badly that when we see these people come into chat rooms, we think, now's our chance. If we ask him 100 questions in a minute, maybe he'll answer one of them and we'll have some clarity. And that's just not the way it works. So I think of it as an exercise in self-control to not bombard him with my questions. Because at some point, I think the answers to a lot of my questions don't matter at the end of the day, to be honest with you. But there are some things that I think that he could clarify that would help. So I'm trying to read chat and also so Travis had something and I didn't see anything from Travis. Did you guys see anything from Travis? Because it was one of his comments that the children are members of the, this is, okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about this one because now I've heard in the meantime that the kids do not have their status. So what's the truth? What's the factual truth? Do they have their status or do they not? Because honestly, that would play a big part into Durwood's theory, would it not? If they're not status, why would First Nations CPS be even involved? And we've heard now that they do not have status. So what's the truth? Ambiguous. Pisses me off, you know? And where are we here? 323. There was something also from Bonnie. Okay. She had asked Daniel, I think, about how quickly Cindy got to the property, but she had said Patty, so I wanted to address that, and then I think later I realized that okay, she already figured out her own mistake. So there's Esther again, all caps, and ask him your questions. Like I don't see a benefit in doing that. Uh, 336:30, I think, will be the last one. 336:30. I think that's it right there. There was one from Explore that I wanted to hit too, and I don't see it. Travis said, wouldn't a parent at this stage be almost forced to believe abduction? That there's hope of return. The alternative isn't very appealing. You have to hope they've been abducted until confirmed. And I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because at the very beginning, when Who was it? There was an RCMP, a former RCMP investigator, retired or something. Can't remember who he was, but he said, of course you wouldn't think that your kids are abducted. That wouldn't be, logical to think of. Whereas if you take what Malaya said in her interview, like honestly, if you take it on its face, and she said that, they always make sure there's somebody outside watching them. And just that, day 2, when we heard that, if like my kids were not allowed to go outside by themselves at some point because there was a creep in the neighborhood. But if my kids were inside the house and they don't go outside without somebody watching them, they know they're not allowed to go outside, but they're gone when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm going to think is somebody came into my house and took my kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would be frantic thinking that somebody took my kids. I wouldn't automatically assume that they wandered into the woods that they've never done by themselves before. That would be on the list, obviously, but it certainly wouldn't be top of mind. It wouldn't be my instinct that they just wandered in and got lost. That's just me. Like, if honestly my kids didn't go outside on their own very often, I would think immediately that somebody came in and took them. Randy, I know, Darius, it's sad and scary. I was hoping to get down to Lethbridge to see my grandkids, which I probably will this weekend, but when this first happened, I was considering going down to Crow's Nest, and they weren't letting anybody in anyways, so I didn't bother. Both parents are still looking into you. That speaks volumes in regards to Jack and Lily. I agree, but I don't know. I'm not gonna go there just yet. Hello, Charmaine, everyone. Since the beginning, we have all heard the different stories. Then it was the kids are taken, then it was the blanket, and now it's Jack's coat. One person started this lie. I'm really trying my best to be as open-minded and as accepting as I can be to try to get those answers, right? They have to have reasons for thinking these things and believing these things. But I mean, I will get to that because I have questions. I have questions about it and I have thoughts about it. Top of mind being that Janie's dog didn't lose it when an adult came to your house, went inside, and got the kids ready to go outside. Another one, why didn't they grab Lily's jacket as well? Another one is, are you telling me that there was an adult in your house getting Jack's coat on and didn't say a word to the kids? The kids didn't say a word to this person? Where are we going? What are we doing? We're excited to see them if they knew them. Make it make sense. And I'm not saying anything about it. I'm asking you, Daniel, to make it make sense. How did Janie's dog not freak out when an adult was walking into your trailer? I just threw the sliding glass door because nobody opened that other door, right? Right? Am I wrong? That's the story? Just clear it up. Make it make sense. Maybe they got out alone often. And I think we've come to realize that. I do. And I think it's pretty clear that this wasn't abnormal. But at the time, if they were trying to, I guess this is what I'm getting at. If something did happen to the kids on the property and they were trying to cover it up, wouldn't you think, or or even if Malaya knew somebody took the kids, if any of these scenarios was legitimate, wouldn't you think they all would have been pushing the stranger abduction theory? Why leave it so open to focus on that specific area? These are questions that come to my brain when I hear this stuff, and I'm thinking, do you know what I mean? Too many questions. Too many questions, not enough answers, and that's why we need to talk about everything. If the children were not allowed outside on their own, there was a duty to protect by making sure they were not able to do that. Yeah. And parents make mistakes. They do. So we can beat the ever-living shit out of them for coulda, shoulda, woulda. But first, let's find Jack and Lily, right? Also, CAS does not deal with autism or learning issues. That was BS. Yes, we've figured that one out too. Imagine how flooded CAS would be. Yeah, I mean that's just not their mandate. They don't deal with that. They just don't. I have a video of my grandson when he was just under a year old, and because he used to do the squealing, screaming thing too, and I just digging for it everywhere, and I cannot find it. But when I do, I'm going to show you. So I know because of his behavioral issues, I know for a fact that CPS does not get involved in stuff like that. They just don't. The school does, counselors do, but CPS doesn't. Daniel's reasoning in this chat yesterday about Jack's jacket being taken just does not make sense. If an adult took his jacket, then the same adult would have taken Lily's. And that's part of it. Like, I have a hard time believing, like, even Nana Cindy coming in the house, or what Durwood thinks First Nations CPS escorted them out. They wouldn't have known that person. I wouldn't think that they would be quiet about it. But somebody that they did know, wouldn't they be kind of excited to see them that early in the morning? You know, we're going in the car. Like, I don't know these kids. But by the sounds of things, they were loud and outgoing, and Jack was quieter, yes, but he would still be the one getting his jacket put on him. 4 and 6-year-old wouldn't be silent while a stranger or somebody that they like or are excited to see, they just wouldn't be silent getting their shit on. They just wouldn't, in my opinion. Durwood. Would the dog have barked if Malaya had taken them out to a vehicle? I don't know. We'd have to ask Janie that. I don't think so. I don't think that that's the information that we're going off of. You know, just when people come on the property or when the dog hears voices. I don't know. Janie, does your dog freak out when Malaya's outside? Like I don't know. That would be a question for Janie. Janie said her dog was in bed with her, not in the window. Why did Patty say she hadn't seen them in a week or two? Speculation, but Patty is getting older. I've heard some things about her lifestyle maybe that might negatively affect her memory. I'm sure the RCMP have tracked down that timeline. So, I mean, we can't say because they haven't released it. It was in the documents that they were at Grandma Patty's, but I think that if it wasn't, there would be a lot more suspicion on them. And I don't know if we would have heard about it or not, but again, more questions. And honestly, they've earned the speculation, right? Wouldn't it be great if we could just believe every word that we heard? But even they don't even agree with the theory of the channel that they spend so much time in. They don't agree with that host's theory. Everybody's got a different idea of what happened. Everybody should have the same goal, just wanting answers and figuring out where these little kids are and what happened that day. And to realize that if they didn't wander into the woods and they didn't get hurt on the property overnight, then somebody took them. There's nothing else that you can think of. And if somebody that they knew took them, I have a hard time believing that Malaya wouldn't know by now and wouldn't be fighting to see her kids, would still be keeping a secret. That I struggle with. And anybody in an official position to keep this secret from the country and to allow the RCMP to waste the resources on this search for two kids that are perfectly safe and sound doesn't sit well in reality, in my opinion. Just saying. The fact that Daniel claims Lily kept poking her head in the bedroom and Jack was heard but not seen makes me wonder a little about someone being in that house. But man, I don't know. But he heard Jack rustle around. I don't remember any of them or either one of them saying that they heard Jack talking. They were talking and laughing and playing amongst themselves. They heard the two of the kids, but they didn't hear another adult or the kids conversing with an adult. And because I'm sure if you heard an adult in your house that you weren't expecting, you'd get up because your kids are up there. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, the more information that comes out, obviously there's more questions. And could you imagine being an RCMP officer trying to sort through all of this? But how long have they known about this jacket? And is that the indisputable proof that Daniel was talking about before? I don't know, maybe. Hi, please just return the kids, children, please. Bro, this has gone too far now. Respect from New Zealand. Agreed. The blanket is a true mystery. Is it? Is it though? I have questions. Okay, I have questions about the blanket too. About the 60-pound garbage bag. That the blanket and the piece of blanket were in. Both pieces were in the garbage bag. Industrial strength garbage bag. If we think that Haley went and ripped that bag, that industrial strength garbage bag, open just enough to reach her hand in, how did she know where to rip to get that piece of the blanket? How did she know exactly where to rip? And why are we so convinced that somebody ripped that garbage bag open to take that piece of blanket out instead of the other theory, story, whatever you want to call it, that the piece of the blanket was actually on the railing? Wouldn't that make more sense? That somebody grabbed it from there? But instead, we're convinced that somebody ripped a hole in the bag and knew exactly where to put their hand to get that little piece of a blanket. Not just that, when? When did that happen? Because according to Janie, and we'll listen to it, the place was swarming with people. So, just questions. Just questions. Why did Patty say she hadn't seen them? I think we just talked about that. Anyways, the answer to that is I don't know. I think that she's just misremembering, but I think the RCMP have probably they probably solidified that timeline over GPS, cell phone, that Google Maps, all that kind of stuff. I think that they've probably solidified, because I know that my car is a Nissan Rogue, but I know that my car is a little bit newer than hers, but it has GPS. So if I ever do something wrong, the police can go and pull that data without me giving it to them. They can see where my car's been. Just hang on, guys. Sorry. And my dog keeps opening the door. This is no. Leah didn't take them to the end of the road. We now know they were both still in bed the whole time. And Daniel did clarify last night that it was, in fact, Malaya who first noticed the silence in the house. So I know that had gone back and forth a few times over the last few months, who did what, and he confirmed last night that, yeah, it was actually Malaya who noticed that the kids weren't in the house anymore. It was too quiet. Because of that blanket, I don't think there's 0% of a stranger abduction. Can you clarify that? The way that's worded? I don't think there is 0% of a stranger abduction. So you're thinking there's a chance of a stranger abduction because of the blanket? I'd like you to bring that full circle and explain that one to me. Buzzkill, hello. The problem is people are trying to fill in blanks. There's missing pieces that aren't being filled. Right. And they're not going to be filled as long as we keep doing the same thing over and over again. The pieces aren't there. We need to start looking elsewhere to fill the puzzle pieces in. And I have no idea if this is even going to make a lick of difference. I really don't, but it's worth a shot, right? I mean, what harm could it do to rehash all this stuff? I think, to me, it's valuable. Randy, Malaya didn't take them to the end of the road. We know now they were both still in bed. I just read that. See? Crazy bitch. Crazy bitch. Did that one too. Or they're all lying to us and the police. You said it. I didn't say it. Derwood, Kent said it. You should talk to Ken. He seems a little negative. Why does the story keep changing? Does anyone know Patty's age? Sure, Derwood does. I would think probably 60s, maybe pushing 70, around there. Stranger abduction would be an easy one. Story they could have all stuck with, but it hasn't been that, right? And why, what information did the RCMP have to come out and say we have no evidence of an abduction? That's weird, isn't it? Isn't that weird for them to come out and say that? They didn't say we know it's not a stranger. They didn't say that. They said we have no evidence to show or to support. That's much different than saying it wasn't a stranger abduction. But for them to come out and say that, that's weird. It's like they have to have had information other than Janie heard them outside, so they must be in the woods. Like that doesn't make sense in any investigation protocol. But there's a lot of things in this investigation that don't make sense if we're thinking about actual protocol. So, I don't know, man. Makeup. JB, she doesn't look like she has makeup on that day. Just saying, just my opinion, but because they weren't on the same page because it wasn't planned. I agree. Like, honestly, if something did happen to the kids on the property, I'm not saying there was, but if, I don't think it was planned. I don't think these are terrible, diabolical people. I really don't. So yeah, I think there's 0% chance of stranger abduction because of the blanket. Because of the blanket. Unlikely to be a stranger abduction in that area. It's probably like getting struck by lightning. I will give you that, but it's not impossible. And something happened to these kids. They are somewhere. If they're not in the woods, then somebody took them off that property. We're going to look at a chart here real soon. In my opinion, the blanket prints and such, all in the same area, I'd look in the opposite direction, in my opinion. Things to distract because they were getting close to something. That's why blanket wasn't there on day one. I wonder, I might be misremembering, but I think the blanket was there on day one, or could have been there on day one. They just weren't searching in that area. They were searching in the woods. So I could be wrong. But I don't. Daniel saying yesterday they have no reason to lock the door. Hindsight is 2020. I'm sure he doesn't think that way anymore. Yes, Kent, that's what I'm saying. And with that blanket, I believe it's ruled out that 1%. Depends how the blanket got there and who put it there and for what purpose. I should maybe explain that. And this is going to take me into biased, maybe accusatory. So trigger warning right now, that's not what I want to do, but I'm going to say it anyways. But if somebody believes so strongly that this went down like that, like at the time Haley or somebody took the kids off the property, maybe it was placed there to try to steer the investigation to what they believed, I guess. And I mean, that's not accusatory at all. That's just saying that they truly believe what they're saying. They truly believe the narrative and the theory that they're trying to get out there. It's a better way to put it. I only mentioned CAS because Daniel is still claiming this on the live as shown in the shorts released by that channel the other day. That channel. The channel we shall not name. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen shorts. I don't watch that content. And he said that's how he knew for 100% fact that Jack didn't take his own jacket. Such illogical reasoning. Not if you're convinced of your narrative and you think you've got proof. To him, it makes sense, possibly. The video Daniel shot in his car without number plate on. Again, I don't watch that content over there. Are there rivers in the area they may have fallen into? I do believe that there was one, and they had search and rescue searching that river or creek, or I can't remember. Belinda and Kent both answered me the other day on that, and damn if I can remember exactly what they said, but there is water nearby. And I know that even in one news report they said that the searchers were searching a waterway as well. Exactly, Shar. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what you're referring to. But to me, the abduction blanket and coat mean nothing, just crumbs to keep everyone trying to solve a mystery instead of what really happened. I'm on board. We're on the same train. Respectfully, Daniel. The school system can alert the family of possible of yes, and they did in the case of my grandson. We always knew when he was young that there was something just not, I don't want to use the term normal because he's smart and he's beautiful and he's perfect in every way. But we knew there was something off about the way he was processing his emotions. Like when he would get happy or excited, it wasn't just happy and excited, it was screaming. It was when he was upset, it wasn't just crying and yelling, it was banging his head off of stuff. There was just no emotion regulation there. And we knew that. And we had gone to the doctor. And it wasn't until he went to kindergarten and teachers started dealing with him every day and they recognized certain things that we were able to finally point his treatment in the right direction. I'd like to say he's turning 9 now next month and he's like a superstar in hockey and he's a terrific kid. And with the right treatment, they grow out of this stuff, but it takes, it takes structure, it takes love, it takes patience, it takes attention, it takes a good diet, a good schedule. All of it comes into play to help him be successful, to help him have a really happy childhood. And I feel like maybe some of that stuff is what Lily and Jack needed. Lily's scream would have been heard if she had screamed. Like I said, it's not, to me, in that birthday video, it wasn't, she wasn't screaming because she was scared. She was screaming because the emotions of the excitement of the moment, just like my grandson used to do. So why would she have screamed if she knew the person that was coming in to get them? Which is why I didn't know until this morning, and I was replaying a chat that Durwood thought that First Nations CPS, wherever, came in and escorted them. I didn't know that, but all this time I thought somebody that they knew, escorted them off the property. But a stranger maybe would make them scream or make her scream. But somebody they knew, I don't know if that would cause the emotion to make her scream. If that's what, I can't diagnose Lily. All I can do is tell you about my grandson. So I guess maybe Belinda. Perhaps they were drugged to keep them quiet by the person that was taking them. I wonder if the neighbor is being blamed for Malaya's female cousin as the person who put the coat on Jack. I know Daniel wants Malaya's cousin to take another poly. Well, thankfully, he hasn't mentioned any names there. I mean, if you've been in the Facebook chat groups, he has dropped names before, but in this particular scenario, he has not named the person. The dog never barked while the reporter was there. True enough. True enough. So then why is it so hard to believe the dog wouldn't have barked if there was a car coming and going? Just a question. At night or was it daytime? What? We don't know. According to Daniel and Malaya and Janie, it was daytime. According to the speculative YouTube streets, it could have been at night. So, sometime before 10:01, or say 9:40, say 20 minutes. AM. It's strange that the RCMP didn't make anything of Durwood's beliefs of where the children are. Why would they not if there was something in it? I believe, and good question, but I believe they probably have. And we've heard now from the RCMP investigator that it doesn't matter how much they believe a tip to be false, they still have to do their due diligence and track down all tips. And I said that months ago, like when people were like, "Oh, call it in, call it in, call it in." We were telling everybody, call in your tip. Even the crazy ass ones, the psychics and stuff like this, is call it in, call it in, call it in. And that bogs down the RCMP because they have to. They have to follow up every lead. So we know that Durwood had told Sonny back in the day when they were talking that he did go find RCMP officers on the Saturday because apparently that detachment is closed on Saturdays. Silverton, I think. But anyways, he did go and he did give his statement. So as soon as he tipped that in, any of that information in, they would have had to run it down. They would have. Maybe it's on their list of shit to track down and they still haven't yet, but I doubt it. If there was a possibility on the other end of a tip that these kids are alive and well or potentially in danger, they would rush on that tip. That makes sense. Blanket was not part of it. This is insane. Return the children, the children's. The dog didn't go crazy when the CBC reporter was there like we were told it always does. Kent, you seem to be questioning the narrative. I don't know what to think here. Are you fucking with me right now? Stevie J, yes, there is. If yes, ma'am says, then there is. Chelsea, unless it was perhaps someone they knew and were comfortable with, maybe they made being quiet a game, just a thought. Absolutely, absolutely possible. So honestly, that would have to be a short list of names, you would think. And Daniel is working with the RCMP. He meets with them or tries to meet with them 3 times a week-ish. I think they would have that information. And I don't know, call me crazy, but I think they would have followed the tip. I think they would have run it down by now. I do. Unless they're playing, and sorry for the it's probably an inappropriate reference, but unless they're playing like hot potato with these kids, cops are coming, move the kids, and somebody else. That's a lot of moving parts. That's a lot of people to keep a secret like this. Huge. And to keep the kids hidden this long, whoever has them doesn't have a conscience. So, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. So little details on Thursday evening after they returned home has me sus about several things. Yeah, but over time we've learned more about Thursday, right? So ask me to recall it right now. So unfair. Time did they get home? For kicks. 3 o'clock. They got home 3 o'clock. We don't know for sure when Daniel went outside to help his mom with the fence, but we know that that's what they're saying they did when they got home. But he was also out there helping with the fence until dark, because by the time he went back in, Malaya had already fed the kids, got them ready for bed, which included not putting their pajamas on, apparently. Still were wearing the same clothes they had on. So how long does it take to? Because in the clips, and I've got a few timestamps written down, but I don't think that I chose this one because there's a lot of stuff in the Janie clips that is just collateral information that I don't think would add value to what we're trying to do here. But part of it was having to balance one of the sections of the fence for Janie to be able to secure it. So I don't know that would take hours to do. I'm not a carpenter. I've never built a fence, so maybe I'm wrong. But it just, there had to have been more going on in the hours between when they got home and when Daniel finally went in the house and the kids were already in bed. So it is suspicious, but it's not hard to clear up, and it's not going to affect their investigation, especially if they're heading in a direction that goes completely against what Daniel believes or anybody else believes. Then what are you afraid of? Your information isn't being taken seriously. So maybe if you put it out in the public and they get a little bit of public pressure, they'll take it more seriously. If you're that dedicated to it, let's hear it. Help us help you get your story out there, get your proof out there, get them to track these kids down. I don't mean to be rude. It's my nature. Crack it. It's ongoing in criminal investigation. Who says they're not looking into it? Just a quick clarification there. It's a missing persons investigation. But I've said for a long time that there is a criminal element here, because anything outside of the children wandering off by themselves into the woods and succumbing to the elements, there's a criminal element here. But they're keeping it as a missing persons investigation, in my opinion, because it's easier. You have more resources available to you under the Missing Persons Act. So, again, just my opinion, but I'm going to share it. But the dog probably barked when the reporter arrived, then calmed down. Probably. I still feel that something happened to those babies the night before, in your opinion. What's the reason the RCMP are not acting on your beliefs, Durwood? And I don't think it has anything to do with him going on CBC, calling them arrogant, conceited, incompetent. A tip is a tip, and these kids are missing, and they would follow up every tip. So hopefully that's not anybody's theory that they just don't like Durwood, so they're not going to listen to him. They have to. Especially after Portapic. Especially after that nightmare. They're not going to fuck up that badly again, in my opinion. Belinda, I think if RCMP printed the garbage bag it came out of and found out who put it there, that would tell us something. Fingerprinted. But Daniel put it there. Right? What worries me is when Daniel said in his interview that the cadaver dogs will not find the kids. Why would he say that? As a parent, I would say, I pray they find the kids. Yeah. Because he doesn't believe they're in the woods. But to be that certain on a TV interview, I think was a mistake. I do. You gotta leave your mind open if you want to be taken seriously. Because if you come across like you know for a fact they're not going to find anything, how do you know? How could you possibly know? Because don't say that you know somebody took them and they're alive and well. Don't say that. Because if you knew that, you would have shared that information with the RCMP and the kids would be home. So I would stop talking in certainties. Patty, so little detail Thursday night. What do you mean they were doing laundry and then they went grocery shopping and then they went back to drop off the credit card? Then they drove home for an hour, got home about 10:30. That was Wednesday. What are you talking about, Kim? You're crazy is showing. Insane. I was also surprised that DM admitted, said in chat yesterday that documents are only 1% of the case. I mean, if anybody thought that that was the investigation, I shouldn't say that because no, well, a lot of people that are following this case on YouTube, this is their first, venture into true crime. But for those of us that have been doing this for a long time or been involved in the criminal justice system in this country knows that there will be hundreds of thousands of pieces of paper by the time this is over. RCMP has to follow every possibility and tip to become a three-ring circus. They need solid evidence. That's right, they do. Lily seemed like an excitable little lady in her videos. Surely she would have squealed if someone she knew appeared at the door. Or like it was brought up before, maybe it was more of a game to keep her quiet. Like, you got to be quiet. But at some point, they would have had to converse with the children to convince them to stay quiet. So we've heard Daniel say, I wasn't deep asleep, by no means. Malaya was dozing in and out. I mean, I can't relate to judge or to know if there was a stranger in my house with my kids, if I would hear them if I wasn't deeply sleeping. But I mean, I do know that there have been times where, I've been asleep and Ian tells me in the morning that he was up for 2 hours and I had no idea. You know what I mean? So is it possible? Sure. Likely? I don't think so. Not in my opinion. Kent, the dog I heard on Saturday was not that dog, and the last couple of times I was there, you're right, her dog did not bark. Good to know. But Janie herself is the one that says her dog barks whenever anybody comes on the property. So, I don't know what to think, you guys. That's right. Try to keep up, Kent. When a mother walks away from searching for her children, says she knows what happened and that they are gone. And like Belinda said, she knows they're not coming back. Now, does she know that or does she believe that? Two different things. I will never believe anybody took those kids unless I see their little faces alive and well. Those babies are gone forever, in my opinion. Well, that's dark, but I don't disagree with you. Her leaving and her Facebook status was a clear statement. I think that they all underestimated the attention and the legs this thing got on YouTube. I don't think they could have predicted this in their wildest dreams. I think it was normal for the kids to fend for themselves. It does seem that way. You're not Grandma Patty, are you? Just saying. Thursday, we know they got home at 4:30. Daniel and his mother was building a fence in the land. I just said that, Kent. Keep up. Am I that far behind in chat? No, Linda. I don't think the blanket isn't a mystery. I still think it could have been torn by an animal. According to Daniel, it's the perfect size for a little hand to get in there. Like I said, how does that little hand know exactly where that piece of blanket is? Diabolical. Our bags have to be clear here. In Nova Scotia? Kent, why didn't you tell me that? Randy, I don't know her age. You are behind, Kent. Keep up. You're confusing me. D said the school bus dash cam shows it wasn't there at 3:55. Interesting. On day 2 or day 1 on May 2nd. I wonder when Lily kept poking her head into the bedroom, did she ever say anything? Or did they ask what she needed? If everything was okay? I don't know. I just want everyone to know garbage bags are clear in Pictou County. Some channels cannot understand that. Interesting. Again, Kent, why didn't you tell me that? Yes, they never claimed to see Jack that morning. It was initially stated that he was wearing a pull-up. I believe that is all Jack had on and was mentally dressed to fit the scenario of wandering off. But I think since we have heard from Malaya that they went to bed wearing the clothes that they had on the day before, which was black sweatpants and something else I can't remember off the top of my head. So yes, that was the first report of what Jack had on, his pull-up and boots. But I think since then, we've got a little bit of clarity from Malaya. Because Daniel still says he has no idea what they were wearing when they went to bed, because when he checked on them that night, their blankets were pulled up. So he didn't know. I'm not highlighting that, Sarah, but thank you. Daniel and Janie were the ones who would know where it was in the bag. Right? I mean, clear bag or not, was it a bag full of garbage? And Daniel kind of chuckled when he said it was like 60 pounds. Do you have any idea how much garbage 60 pounds of household garbage is? Unless it included like kitty litter and shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Wouldn't there be fingerprints on the bag if they tore it open? There absolutely would be. I don't know, maybe we are dealing with the Keystone Cops here. Did they take the bag? Doesn't seem like it. They allowed Daniel to open the bag up and root through it to find the rest of the blanket. Like, what? Oh my goodness. Good point, though. They would have to know that the blanket was in there. Yes, and where to rip the hole. I didn't know that the industrial strength or regular whatever garbage bags are clear in Pictou. I have seen them. I still blame Kent for not telling me that, because we have been discussing this ad nauseum privately for a couple of weeks now. Kent. I believe all planted. Question, who could they be? Think motive, in my opinion. Absolutely. Yep, Janie said they put food scrap in the garbage instead of in the compost bin like we're supposed to. And I know, and if anybody rats her out, I'll kill you. But in when my daughter used to live in Chestermere, they were so strict on their garbage. Like they had to have like different bins for different types of garbage, stuff that we never had to worry about in my small town. And then they had like a compost bag under the sink for actual food. And if for whatever reason things got mixed up, out came the black garbage bag and it was taken to the transfer station. It wasn't put out for the garbage men to pick up. So apparently they get a fine. So maybe, just maybe, the bag was black, but maybe it was clear. I wouldn't know. Ken didn't tell me. So. What does what prove? If you clarify, I will answer. I've tried to convey this continually, but no one listens. Are you talking about the clear garbage bag? This is the first time I've heard it. So. Oh, exactly, root strength. We don't have black garbage bags, but you are allowed one for personal hygiene items. Why didn't you tell me that, Kent? See, he's not answering me, guys. Malaya knew about the blanket. She could have took it out at any time. Or it could have been on the railing, like it's been speculated, and the garbage bag was ripped when he was lifting the 60-pound bag into that bin. That's funny because I thought that was a total typo, but it's not. You're talking safety. Okay. That's why Daniel's garbage bag weighed 60 pounds and was an industrial one, because you are only allowed one black bag. The rest have to be clear. So are we saying that the blanket bag was black? To be fair, I assumed it was a black bag too, because Kent never told me about the clear garbage bags. Like we talked about it, like all the time. We talked about it. Never once did he say, Kent? Whatever. I found Janie's words Shar pieced together really interesting. Interesting. It's a stretch, but useful. Interesting to go back over, I guess. Yeah, sure. Thanks. We're only allowed one black. Okay. Let's beat that to death, shall we? Root strength. All of the bags for trash are clear and recycling is blue, correct? Yes. Okay, so we've established that clear bags, and you guys know what the recycling bags, the blue transparent bags, and then clear bags, and then everybody is allowed one black bag. And maybe they don't specify the size of black bag that's allowed, and so Daniel just uses one big ass industrial size black garbage bag and puts all of their weekly garbage into it to create a 60-pound bag. But then I'm left with the whole, how did whoever know where to rip the hole to get the blanket out? Can we just move on? None of it makes sense because it's nonsense. Thank you. I wouldn't believe none of them. And I want them to not believe, I want them to pretend for a second that they don't know what they think they know. And let's talk about all possibilities. This is like a huge game of Clue. Who ripped the hole in the bag and took the blanket out? It's just use black, yeah. Take more garbage bags, more. Countryside wildflowers. Flowers. I'm only partway through the first episode live. I need to get to part 2 where Danny makes an appearance. Go to like the 2 hour and 42-minute mark of yesterday's live, and that's where Daniel enters the chat. There's really nothing in there, truly. He didn't come in, he didn't start shit, he said one thing that was ambiguous, and I said something back, and he clarified for me right then and there. He answered some questions. I mean, it was a big fat nothing burger. I wouldn't replay if you want to, but I wouldn't waste my time. Even though I did. I replayed that whole friggin' thing, you guys. Spike was there day 1. It's like the blanket is saying here, look. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna. Whatever. I wanna. look at my chart. What did I do with it? What the hell? I swear I had it open. No. This doesn't make any sense, you guys. Oh, there it is. Cool. All right. Oh, where'd my streamer go? I don't know where I am. Okay. Next stage. Check this out. Oh, where the hell did it go on my computer? This is hard. Okay. Can you guys see that? Probably not. Let me look. This is 2024. Right here. See that? Blah, blah, blah. This is Canada-wide stats. So along the top, we've got, this is just what the columns are. I'm gonna hide that so you guys can see. Okay, so provinces, okay, and then with the population, abduction by stranger, and then accident, wandered off, lost, parental abduction with custody or order, and the next one without custody order, abducted by a relative, runaway, presumed dead, human trafficking, unknown, and other. Okay, so there it's kind of a comprehensive list of shit that could go wrong, like how people go missing. Children. You get to the end of the chat. I'm so sorry if you said something. Just chill out for like 5 minutes while we go through this, and then if there was something in chat that you wanted me to address, I'm sorry, but type it again. Oh my gosh, you guys. That's what happens when I'm answering this. Well, honestly, who just said that? I don't know who just said that about Kent and I bickering. Who allows somebody to debate about a garbage bag blanket and who might have taken it out there, and then the person that knows that it could have been a clear garbage bag doesn't even mention it? It's like he's setting me up. Kent. All right, so anyways, focus on this. What province are we thinking of? Nova Scotia. Does that stay highlighted for you guys? Only if I put my mouse there. Okay, so stranger, abduction by a stranger. There was one male in 2024 that was abducted by a male stranger, or abducted by a stranger. 2 males disappeared by accident. What does that mean? Weird. Wandered off, got lost. 0. Weird. 0. Parental abduction? There was only 1. Blows my mind. Parental abduction without a custody order? 1. Male. Abducted by a relative? 0. There were a bunch of runaways. 253 females, 167 males. Unknown. Let's point out human trafficking, 0. But I mean, mind you, we've only got like 1 in Quebec for that, and we know that it's It happens more often than that, sadly. But I just thought this was kind of interesting. But, and you would think with the amount of land there and treed areas and, waterways, the whole wandering off thing would be more common. I was actually surprised when I saw that it wasn't all that common, right? I was surprised. Anybody want to talk about this, or is it boring? I mean, a few of you might like statistics and spreadsheets and stuff. I do, but oh, here's children. There you go. Whoever said that. I'm sorry. I saw your comment, but I was like, this chart seems incomplete. How so? Like numbers? I don't know. So let's go down to Nova Scotia. But again, still only one, but abduction by a stranger. Head off to wandered off, lost. There's 2 females. So that's interesting. Being that Lily is older, she would have been the leader. Come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. If we believe what we've heard. No parental abductions with a custody order, but there was 1 each, male and female, without custody order. Abducted by a relative, none. Runaways, still the same numbers, 253 and 167. Unknown reasons, 13 females and 12 males, and other 8. Still no human trafficking. Wandered off, there was 1 female child. It's interesting. Look at the numbers where I'm at. Probably a larger landmass, but it's just as dense forested as Nova Scotia. 95 females, 65 males. And in Alberta, 47 and 38. Like, this is such a low number. According to this chart, it's most either don't know or they ran away if you're going by stats, right? I don't know. Randy. Human trafficking is number 1, courts and borders. But this stat chart says 0, Randy. Are you saying the government of Canada is wrong? Nonetheless, it's interesting information. I think it's troubling. I wouldn't want to raise a child in Quebec. No shade on Quebec, but look at that. That's terrible. Even Ontario isn't that bad. A little bit worse for runaways, but wow. 59 in Ontario, human trafficking cases. That is terrible. Unbelievable. Kent, I disagree. Withholding information and letting me spout off like an idiot is setting me up. You owe me. Where are my bracelets? Okay. So is everybody good with this? I just want... No, I know, Buzzkill, I know that he spells my name wrong because he's not actually typing. He's just talking into his phone. I'm glad today that he's saying Charmaine instead of Sherwood. Just saying. Baby steps. So anyways, I thought that this chart was very interesting. Good to know. And up to date for, when was it? 2024. So yeah, that's it is what it is. You can't argue with stats, am I right? I know, Randy. I'm being facetious. There we go. Now it's time for Yay, statements. Yay. Missing by accident, Charmaine, I would think. All right. What is your involvement in this criminal investigation? You meet with the stepfather of 2 missing children on the down low. Your sister is part of this family. You, sir, are shady as F. Lisa. It wasn't on the DL. They met in the yard because Durwood brought him over there unannounced to meet Kent. That's it. That's it. His sister is part of that family. Are you talking about Heidi Corbett, who is absolutely no relation whatsoever? Get your facts straight. And mods, please remove that person. I'm not dealing with that shit in here, ever. I am sick to death, Brian, of hearing Kent explain it. They don't know them. So this person is watching another channel, and I know which one it is, and came in here just for that reason, so they can go away. I'm sick to death of listening to it. Kent can talk all he wants in chat, but come on. And like every live, we have to address that because Daniel or Durwood took Daniel to Kent's house to meet him. That makes him involved in the criminal investigation? No, I'm not talking directly at you, Brian. I'm venting because that pisses me off. He has explained himself. I have had to explain it, and people shouldn't have to explain it. He is not involved in the criminal investigation. He is involved in raising awareness for this case to try to keep Jack and Lily's faces out there. That's what he's involved in. So you can go back to the drama channels because it's not happening here. Bye. Anyways, let's just move on. I apologize. I did not want that to happen. I hope somebody got rid of that person. I don't want it in here. I don't care who she is. All right, guys. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel, we're going to wipe our whiteboard memories clean, and we're going to look and listen to what Janie says. Try to move forward listening to this stuff with all the shit that we've heard, right? Just in time, Sunny. Just in time. This is just for you. Just for you. Missy, that's hopefully it'll never happen again because I do not want to get worked up or feisty on my channel. I saved that for Sunny. Yes. Yes, you do, Sunny. Yes, you do, Sunny. Here we go. So we will stop and start. I've got a few timestamps that we're going to hit on, but this is where we're going now. I warned y'all at the beginning we're going to be waist deep in the mud. So here we go.
Kids were here Friday morning. After that, I don't know what happened to them. My first instinct when she told me the kids were missing was check the woods. That's what I did. And when I found out they were not in the woods, I said they're not in the woods. And for what she said about Jack and Lily wandering, that's a bunch of BS. The only time they go anywhere up in the woods is when my other 2 grandchildren are here. And they're always kept an eye on by me. And if Daniel's in the yard, he watches them too. And for what she said about Jack and Lily wondering, that's a bunch of BS. The only time they go anywhere up in the woods is when my other two grandchildren are here. And they're always kept an eye on by me. And if Daniel's in the yard, he watches them too. And the kids have never wandered away or never gone in the woods by themselves in the last 2 years. Why all of a sudden would they do it Friday morning? And there's three questions I cannot answer. The first question is who would know the kids were home? And number two, who would know when they were outside? And number three, when I saw Malaya outside my RV, why wasn't she crying or why wasn't she hysterical if her kids went missing 20 minutes ago? And here's another thing for you to think about. I lived here for 26 years. I've raised my two boys here. I've been in this community for 60 years. I was born and raised here. My homestead is where my brother lives. So I know the traffic on this road after 26 years. I know the traffic on this road. Now, nobody is going to go by here and say, oh, there's two kids in the yard. Let's stop and pick them up. For number one, that's where those three questions come into. And here's another thing for you to think about. I lived here for 26 years. I've raised. And as far as Malaya being isolated, that's a bunch of bullcrap.
Do we want to talk about that a little bit? Obviously, I didn't start at the beginning because, like I said, a lot of it is collateral information. She was going through answering questions. However, right, Christine? Exactly. We all need to go wait in the car right now. Janie is pissed. But the thing that gets me, she sounds just so angry and so, but she feels so much better. So imagine for a second that you've been, and she hadn't talked before this, right? 2 months, she hadn't talked before this. And she says that she was tired of the RCMP not telling them anything, keeping everybody, including the public, in the dark about things that should be made public. She was frustrated. But talking to Allie, the reporter, she trusted Allie and decided to give her the exclusive, I guess, interview that aired directly after she did this live chat. But she felt comfortable going into the live chat talking because she had told her story to the news and she knew it was coming out. So there's the back story. But if this is Janie feeling much better, all I can say is that poor woman's heart must be ready to explode because she is still off the chart angry. Sometimes she's more calm when she's answering questions. You can tell when she gets frustrated with the information, but I don't know. That's my take on it. But the information that she talked about the kids not wandering off on their own, really has me questioning what to be a fly on the wall of her brain, to know what she's really thinking and questioning herself, to be so adamant about some of this stuff and some of the questions that are being thrown at her still, probably, and still being so frustrated with her answers. Don't most of us, some of us have, I'm sure some of you have experienced having a missing child, but at some point, wouldn't you want the information to come out in a way that isn't, like she's defending herself and such, like it feels like she's trying to defend the entire world here. And if we're just trying to share the information so it's public knowledge, why is the delivery so aggressive? I feel like she's under a lot of pressure, and I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I'm not here to judge or make fun of. I'm here to point out and talk about the things that Janie is talking about. So let's continue, okay? Yeah, I'm just going to continue. I'm not going to get sucked into chat again. Just give me a bit.
Because she used to drive Daniel to work when he was working full time. And there's something else I'm going to straighten out about too in a minute. When she wanted the car, she would drive Daniel to work. She would go do what she had to do. She would even bring Daniel his lunch. She would come home. Then she would go back in the evening and pick Daniel up. So she was free to go whenever she wanted to go. And another thing, the reason why Daniel is only working 1 day a week is because of this here tariff tax. The mill is having problems getting logs. That's the only reason why the mill is down 1 day a week. And that started in, I think, February. They started going down a day a week.
Yeah, for sure. This is exactly the result of people throwing accusations at her. And she says, I don't exactly remember when she says it, but we're gonna hear it. But she talks about like her cupboards and renovating stuff, and I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't aware of the whole Janie speculation and people throwing shit at her. I wasn't aware of all of that. I mean, I was sure that it was happening, but I didn't know. I wasn't in that circle. So when she brought up there are no like sex toys in my, wow. Yeah, no, I know, Sonny, I did. I figured that out. I remembered. It took a while, but I remembered I did mute myself when the video was playing. But anyways, I wasn't aware that some of the accusations were that twisted. Like, why? What about? Why did she feel necessary to bring up sex toys? And I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, what the fuck is wrong with people when they're throwing? These are 2 missing children. If you're questioning, I just think it's sick. I do. I think it's sick and disgusting, and I hope that people have moved on from that kind of vulgar nonsense. when it comes to this case, 2 missing children. So.
But just in the last 3 weeks, they've been full time. They've been 3 weeks steady, 5 days a week. So if anybody thinks that Malaya was isolated, she had every chance in the world to go wherever she wanted. That's all she had to do was ask Daniel for the car, and Daniel gave her the car. And there in April, she bought a car on her own. So if she wanted to leave, she could have left in April. She could have left anytime she wanted. She knew me. She knew if she wanted to leave and Daniel put up a fuss, she knew that I would step in and make her go or let her go. I would not stop her from leaving. Even though Daniel's my son, if that's the time, I would step in. So people can't say that she didn't want to live here because she was isolated, that she couldn't go anywhere. That's a bunch of bull crap. And she had the use of my vehicle too, whenever she wanted it. So If people think that she didn't want to live here because she was isolated, if that's what she's telling everybody, well, or if that's what you're hearing, that's a bunch of bull crap.
So at some point, and yeah, she does seem like she's very angry at Malaya. And with good reason. Like, Malaya left on day 2 and kind of left them holding the bag. But at some point, and this is me trying to be Switzerland, so I don't mean anything terrible by it, but aren't they doing the same thing to Malaya and Malaya's family as everybody else seems to be doing to them? Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope they don't take offense to that. I hope that just makes them think for a second that what they're doing and what they're saying, and they have the right to be angry with her. I'm not saying that they don't, obviously they do. But to go out in public and say these things, that they're doing the same things that they don't want done to them. So I've heard enough of that part. I'm going to, the next one we're going to listen to is longer. This section is longer. I'm going to go back just a tiny little bit. It's about 30 seconds early. I don't know if you got dead air or something coming in, but mute. Thank you, Sunny, for the tip.
And I offered to go underneath the trailer with a flashlight to show them that Jack and Lily weren't under there. And they said no, that they could get under there with the drone. And I'm not here for you guys to feel sorry for me. I'm just here to tell the truth. You guys have your own opinion of me. I have nothing to say about that. I'm just here to tell the truth. I want Lily and Jack found, and that's all I want. Can I clear something up about the four-wheeler? Justin and I were the ones driving on the four-wheeler, but we picked Daniel up around the pipeline. Justin and I went up around the pipeline, and we were going through an old road, and we seen Daniel. And Daniel got on the bike, and he sat on front of the bike until we get back to the pipeline, and we dropped him off with some of his friends, and then Justin and I took off back home. So Daniel was on the bike, sitting on the front of the bike. So there was me, Justin, and Daniel on the bike. He was sitting on the front of it. But Justin and I had the bike out all day.
So just really quickly, I know that Daniel had said that he was searching on the ATV. But this is what we've come to find out, that it was Janie and Justin searching on the ATV, and Daniel jumped on the front of it and was taken back down to meet up with his friends who he had called to come and help search. But when was that? Because, and I'm trying to think and talk through this myself with you guys. So at what point did Daniel take Malaya's car back? Because he ran into the woods, he looked really quickly, came back, she was already on the phone with 911. He jumped in the car and he went up looking around the pipeline and stuff. And Janie somebody went and got the ATV. Do you know what I mean? So when did Daniel come back? On the Saturday. This was Friday, sorry. Dropped the car off and then headed up on foot? Or did he leave the car up there? I'm not sure that. I'm just trying to piece it together and trying to make sense of it. And that's the purpose of listening to this again And I know some of you don't want to, and I'm not losing any viewers, so. But let's continue listening and keep these questions in mind, right? Make it make sense. Clear it up. Clear it up.
I'm fine. I just went through your comments to see if there's any questions you had to ask, and I just wanted to clear that up. I just want to say Daniel has done so many interviews, and to tell you the truth, if I was in his place, I'd be so confused because people have been asking me so many questions, and it's just, I don't know how anybody that has been interviewed keep everything straight. Like, I think a little things get twisted and everything, but you got to understand, we're all under a lot of pressure here. All this was put on us, or especially on Daniel, because Malaya's not opening her mouth. And Daniel's taking all the backlash for this. So if it was Malaya Malaya opened her mouth, just how much backlash she would get. So you got to cut Daniel a little slack here, guys. He did not use the ATV all the time of the search. It was me and Justin. And as I said, we picked Daniel up on an old road. We went up the pipeline, Justin and I did, and we picked Daniel up on an old road. So Daniel did not use the bike. The only time he was on the bike is when we picked him up on the road. And believe me, it's my four-wheeler, and believe me, I don't let Daniel drive my four-wheeler, believe me. And yes, he is telling the truth. The bike did have a wiring problem because the mice get into it and chewed all the wiring off of it. So that's why it wasn't used neither until it got fixed.
Just really quickly, I want to say, to Terry and everybody else, and I agree, there's been a lot of questions, but I will point out again that the truth doesn't change. And yes, I understand people can get confused when so much is happening. Memory changes, and I think for a lot of situations, your memory might become clearer after the dust settles a little bit. But when Daniel or Durwood or any of them enter a chat room, they've come to expect that they're going to be bombarded with questions. So I don't feel bad or sorry for them when they're being bombarded with questions and accusations and stuff, because YouTube is what it is, right? They've got a safe place now where they can go and kind of be sheltered a little bit from all of it. But for the most part, when they enter into a chat, they've got to be used to it. They've got to be used to it and expect it, right? So if you come in here, it's beware, because people think what they're going to think, and they've created this environment. So that's my 2 cents, Terry, and anybody else that might feel bad for them when they come in and they think the channel host should take over. And that's just, I think, if you don't want to do it, don't come and chat. I wish he'd stop. I really do.
I've been looking at the comments, and if you guys have anything wrong, don't get mad at me, but I will correct you guys. If you go back at the screenshots that Malaya sent Belinda, you will find the time of when Malaya told Belinda what time she called the 911. It's all in her messages to Belinda. No, Daniel did not drive the ATV. I told you it was Justin and I that were out on the bike all day. We picked Daniel up on the pipeline, on an old road. We went up, Jess and I went off the pipeline, and we went off on an old road, and we found Daniel there. We picked Daniel up. Daniel was sitting on the front of the bike. So there was Justin, me, and Daniel on the bike, and we drove Daniel back to his friends that were on the pipeline, and Justin and I came back home. Well, if you know what a four-wheeler is, it's only big enough for two people. Justin was driving, I was sitting on the back, so we made Daniel sit on the front because there was no room for him to sit on the back with me. Okay, no problem. I'm sorry, people, but I do not accept friends' requests, so please don't send them to me. Is there anything else you want me to clear up? Because I'm going to bed soon. So if you got any questions, ask them now. Okay, I already answered this question. My brother called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town. I said no, I was going back to bed. So I laid back down. I was playing on Facebook. I dozed off. I'm not sure what exactly time. I didn't look at the clock. My dog woke me up. I heard the kids outside. And then I dozed back off again. And the next thing you know, I heard Daniel hollering Jack and Lily's name. Then about maybe 5-10 minutes after I heard him, I'm not sure exact what time because I didn't look at the clock. And when I opened the door, Malaya was standing there in front of the RV, and I said, "What's up?" And she said, "The kids are missing. The kids, Lily and Jack, are gone." And I said, "How long?" She said, "About 20 minutes. I don't know what time I seen Malaya outside because I didn't look at the clock. I came in, I grabbed my boots, and headed up to the woods. So I gave you guys a timeline. 8:48 is when he called me. I dozed off. I don't know exactly what time I heard the kids. And according to what, if I read it correctly in the chat between Belinda and Malaya, she said that she called the 911 at about 9:40. So that's what I believe it says. You'd have to check out the conversation between Malaya and Belinda. I'm talking about the discussion between Malaya and Belinda, not the discussion between Malaya and Cindy. Malaya was supposed to tell Belinda, according to her screenshot, that she called 911 at 9:40. The one about between Malaya and Cindy? Is that the one you want me to look at? Okay, there's something I want to ask you guys about the message that you're putting up on the screen about where it says Cindy Murray. Did you notice that the person in blue, there's no little person beside the message that were sent? Usually when you message someone, the picture of the person comes up at the bottom of the blue. Malaya has the same phone as me. And whenever I message somebody, my little picture comes up at the bottom of the message. So you see where the blue is lit up? How come there's no little person on the bottom of the messages? Yes, we do have Wi-Fi calling here. And when I call on or message on my phone, if I send a message to somebody, my little picture shows up on the bottom of my message. And then when somebody messages me back, their little pictures show up on my messages. So there is no little people on the bottom of those messages. So you don't know who sent them those messages. As I said, Malaya and I have the same phone. Okay, who on here has, what is it? Are you saying a phone? What kind of a phone? They say they don't show up on here right now. There's too many things coming up here. I'm trying to read here. An address, at least not, okay.
So anything new come out of that little snippet? Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to it and you're considering the information through unbiased hearing, there is useful information in there. Whether you think she's full of shit or not is, I mean, that's your prerogative, and I've also got my own opinions on it. But I think it's important to re-listen. And as for the channel, the unpopular opinion, I was not disrespectful when I was blocked. I asked a question, and it wasn't rude. So that there is my own personal opinion on that. So I've got, where are we, 138. So I've got one more timestamp with this to go to. That's Ian, everybody. Super talented. He built the bench. He doesn't care if he's on camera. I've got 1:59 to the 2-hour mark, so I'm just going to start it here. I'm not sure what I was getting at. I said I was doing this driving this morning. I was writing down timestamps. So that's what I do. I listen to this shit while I'm driving. Crazy. But interesting information, so let's listen. Let me mute. Yeah, I'm an Apple girl too, so I don't quite understand the person in blue, but the little avatars, I guess, that come up that show, like, I've got my read receipts on, so I can see when something is delivered, I can see when something is read or seen on Messenger, but there is always the little avatar that comes up, so you can see, if you're in a group message or whatever, you can see who sent a message, because I don't think the name comes up, but the avatar is there, so you know who sent it. So, Buzzkill Charms, I wasn't there, and I mean, I wasn't there long either. I came in and I asked because I'm trying to find, and I do have receipts for it, and I literally just looking for clarification, like, honestly, and I meant no disrespect, but he was saying they were talking about the second blanket, and Daniel wasn't on or anything. He wasn't in chat. And DT, if I'm okay, this was a couple weeks ago, I think. So my memory could be skewed. Because I mean, I got angry. Like, you don't block me. I'm not disrespectful. But anyways, he said that Daniel only saw a picture of the blanket when he said it wasn't Lily's. But then when he's seen it, that's when he said, okay, yeah, it is Lily's. And my question was, well, then why did he admit to lying about the blanket to protect Malaya? And I believe that information came from Durwood. Like I'm positive that he told us that. Now Daniel lied about the blanket because he was trying to protect Malaya. That is what I had heard. That is what many of you have heard. And so I was just asking, well, if that's the case and he saw a picture, blah, 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 if that's the case, then why did he admit to lying to Durwood? That's what I asked, and it got deleted. And then I pointed out that drug dealers don't typically do their deals using their bank accounts. So bank records to try and disprove or prove drug use doesn't work because they sell items for cash or they get cash and they use that cash to buy drugs. That's it. And that got me blocked. And that wasn't even directed at anybody specific. That was just talking in general terms, facts. And that got me blocked. And Chelsea, you stick up for anybody that gets you blocked, that gets your comments removed. And I do not agree with that. I agree with trying to keep your chat respectful. But like I said, I was not being disrespectful. I do have receipts. I'm having a hard time finding it because I'm trying to do this and I'm not used to it, but I will as long as I care long enough to. But I like my give a shit is almost broken when it comes to that. Proving my own point. It's just I don't care. I do, but I don't. But I just putting that out there, it's not, to me, it's not a fair way to do things. And I don't want to have any association with it. If you're not interested in everything that's happened in the case and you're just cherry picking certain information and getting your information from one side, one source, I think that it's irresponsible reporting, especially when you have a following the way he does. I think it's irresponsible. So that's all I want to say about that. I'm not here to berate or belittle or anything else other channels. I'm telling you about my personal experience there and why I feel the way I feel. Hi, Daphne. I've been trying to pinpoint who was there on Friday before the blanket was found. Good luck. Frank. Good luck. So what do we know? It sounds like Friday was pretty straightforward with the searching. Cindy was there, Wade was there. I believe the altercation, wasn't that Saturday? I'm sure the altercation was Saturday. So Friday, good question. I mean, I'll start looking into that, and it's probably in these Janie clips somewhere. Why can't I think of it right now? I don't know. Right. It sounds like it would have been on Friday, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday. But then Belinda was there on Saturday and she didn't see any altercation, and I believe she also said that when she left, everybody was still there. Like Malaya was still there at least. So we know. But was the altercation before the briefing that happened right before Malaya took off? I don't know. Good question. That's a spot that people should dig into and try to piece it together. And that really truly should be an easy question for Daniel or Janie to answer. Buzzkill, my understanding was DT. Yes, he has all of the information. He's just not covering it. He doesn't care what these people say in YouTube chat rooms. He doesn't believe that the RCMP care what these people say online. So it's his prerogative. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, no, he absolutely has all of the information that we had. Well, other than the stuff that we've been asked not to share, he has everything. He just chooses not to consider it. So here we go. Yeah, Brian, just after the briefing, 2 altercations. Belinda was there on Saturday. Right. Well, sorry, I'm going to continue this, guys.
But it's an awful coincidence that he shows up today after me mentioning it on Facebook. So whoever said anything about that, thank you very much. I had my say, and I'm very happy that I had my words with him. I have to leave for a few minutes. I'm getting a phone call, so I'll come back and answer your questions when I come back. I don't know about that because I started watching the TikToks of Sunny and of Dolly. I'm sorry, I can't stand Dolly. And to tell you the truth, I can't stand Sunny's interviews now. I don't watch them after what she said about me. I don't go on them anymore. That's a question you would have to ask Darren, why he said what he did. As in my opinion, Darren is telling the truth. He told me a lot that I don't want to tell anybody. That's up to him. He has his own opinion on things, and
yeah, you guys, this picture of Janie was at the exact moment in that interview where she was saying that Daniel had nothing to do with Jack and Lily's disappearance. She was desperate, and she was extraordinarily emotional about that. So it's really hard to find pictures of Janie online. And this picture here, to me, represented how Janie's emotions came off throughout this entire conversation that she was having. So that's why I chose it. I'm not trying to poke fun at her or make her look stupid. I'm trying to demonstrate how emotional she was, and how when emotions get in the way, and I mean, who can blame any of them? It's important to keep in mind when we're trying to be unbiased and re-listen to this stuff. It's important to keep all of it in mind. But the most important part to me, like I said, is and I hope they can understand this, they are doing the same thing to Malaya and her family as everybody else is doing to them. And whether or not they think they have the proof remains to be seen, because the fact is the kids are still not home. So everybody needs to be a little bit more open-minded. Charmaine, what's your thoughts on Daniel saying there is a second pink blanket, and Daniel said bus goes by at 4 p.m. yet an RCMP doc? I mean, I don't know what to think of the school bus. The second pink blanket is a point of contention for me, because if there was a second pink blanket, and I was talking to Sunny and Kent about this earlier. So if there was a second pink blanket, and that's the blanket he was referring to that wasn't Lily's at the beginning, and he's online saying, like on the news media saying they found a blanket, but it wasn't Lily's. And then the next thing we heard is they found a blanket and Malaya saying it was Lily's. So, and then we find out it actually was Lily's, and we're like, why is Daniel lying? And now we're hearing that it was a second blanket that actually truly wasn't Lily's. What an easy thing to clear up in the moment. He could have explained that to everybody in the moment. And I don't understand why he won't clarify these things that are, they're big inconsistencies. They look like inconsistencies, but they're so easy to clear up. I don't understand that. So maybe there was a second blanket, but why wouldn't he have clarified that? Just like he let us all run around with that picture of turned out to be search ribbons ripped and it looked like a ripped blanket to a lot of people. And he let us run with that was the blanket. Why not just correct us? Even if we didn't have the right picture at that particular time, he could have corrected us. Yeah, Daphne, I'm like 99% sure that they are ribbons. Yeah. I have combed through dispatch and there's only one blanket found, torn clothing, etc. I don't understand either why he says 2 blankets. Like I said, if it's what he's saying he was talking about when he said it wasn't Lily's blanket, and it truly wasn't Lily's blanket, why in the world did he let everybody run with it? And then even when we're calling him a liar, like, why at first it wasn't Lily's blanket and now it is Lily's blanket? Like, he could have cleared that up right then and there. You know, if he heads these things off at the head, and nobody can say he doesn't have time because he's in these YouTube chats daily. Was then and still is now, maybe not as much now, but he had the time. I'm going to continue playing this because I mean it's a whole new conversation, really. He's been saying for months 2 different blankets. Right. But he hasn't been saying it to us. He's been letting us run with the assumption that he changed his thoughts on the blanket and that Durwood said he lied about the blanket to protect Malaya. That happened. Those are facts. It's not facts that it's true, but it's facts that it happened. It was said. So why let us run with it and then wonder why people think he's being inconsistent? When if this was true, if this is really the way it went down, it would have been so easy for him to clear it up. And it's not because of lack of time. It's just not. So, anyways. He's saying the police didn't show him a picture of it, but instead someone told him of the blanket in the tree. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna continue.
He says what he says. So you could either take it with a grain of salt or not. Do I agree with his assessments of events? Darren is close with the family on Malaya's side, and he is close with Daniel. I never met the man before in my life. I didn't even know who he was until one day he walked in the yard and he asked for Daniel. And I went in and I said, Daniel, there's someone here to see you. He said, who is it? And I said, I don't know. And I come out and I asked Darren who he was. And he told him, so Daniel, get up. Then they got talking. And he was telling about what he knew or what he heard or whatever. And then I said, well, this is a man that knows what's going on both sides. So I felt comfortable talking to him. I told him the whole thing. That's when he said, do you mind if I go on and say what you know? And I said, I really don't give a, you know what. So he went on. He did get some stuff mixed up. I did correct him on that. What he said, I believe, because you take a man that is putting his own life in danger, putting his life with his family and his partner, putting that all in jeopardy. He told what he knew. He lost everything. Now, who would in their right mind? Sorry, that's not the right words, but who would do that if they didn't know what they were talking about, or what they heard, or what they said? Because you got to look at it. He has more to lose, and whatever he said about it, by trying to find Jack and Lilly test, that anyone he lost everything. I don't know nothing about what was said or anything. The investigators got after him for letting that out there, and then they came out with the statement after that people have had polygraph tests done. So he got in trouble for that. Daniel asked for the lie detector test. Yes, he was the one that begged the investigators for the polygraph test. They did not ask him. He asked for it. Daniel and I still take walks through the woods to see if we can find them, just to get out and look. But we haven't found anything. As I said, I do not know where the kids are. In my opinion, they are not in the woods. The searchers are saying they are. But come on, after all the time they have searched and never found nothing, and all the helicopters and the drones and all the area they have searched, those two children, Jack and Lily, could not have walked very far. As I told you, when I walked with Jack and Lily and Daniel and my other two grandchildren in the woods, I would have to carry Jack through the woods.
I saw something I wanted to talk about. Do you all think Janie was aware of any drug use? She claims that there wasn't. She claims that there wasn't that she knew of, and there was no drugs in her RV. Somebody telling her what to say by text. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but I think somewhere in these voice clips, she did say Daniel was there with her. And that could be why sometimes she goes back and she wants to clear things up or set things straight. I don't know if I would read too much into that. I mean, obviously, human nature is to question it just because of where we're at with these people. But what I'm trying to do is absolutely not be devil's advocate today. That's for another day. But for today, just look at it through, try to put yourself in their position and what they're trying to convey to the public, no matter what we think of why they're doing it. If that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't. So I think the fact that the dog handler has accused him of hurting the kid says a lot. There must have been some type of evidence found for the dog handler to say something like that, right? My opinion, but not necessarily. It could simply have been to try to gauge a reaction, to see what he did with that. And it's also possible that it didn't happen. Just throwing that out there. Bipolar, probably gone already. She's a walking contradiction. In some things, absolutely, she has contradicted herself for sure. Malaya doesn't have the foresight to understand what she is about to do. That is the only phrase I can't get over. I agree with you, but at that point when Daniel said this, and I don't mean this to be as insulting as it's going to sound, and I understand that, but I think that Daniel at some point a few weeks ago started really trying to pre-plan his messages so he didn't sound as shallow. I think that he was trying to sound more sophisticated in his thought process, if that makes sense. Like it's not authentic. It's not Daniel. We've seen enough from Daniel to know his writing style and his language when he's texting or messaging, and this ain't it. This was more effort put into the words he was choosing and how he wanted to be portrayed, in my opinion. JB, I think it would be obvious to Janie, the drug use, especially for a few years. Well, when you're a mom trying to protect your son, you might not. I mean, I know plenty of moms that are in denial about stuff like that. I really do. Me being one of them. Like my daughter, I didn't know this, but she was a pothead, and I didn't know. And looking back, I probably should have, but I was totally in denial. No shade on potheads. It's perfectly legal here. So, I'm sorry, start looking for bones, look for humans. Well, they are. Those were quotes from Haley to show an argument happened before the briefing. I'm not sure. Family count, that's interesting. Which family? Are you part of the family? I believe her here for once, having to carry Jack, etc. And it's interesting to me that they are so sure that the kids didn't wander into the woods, but on the other channel, that's what the host believes. Are they trying to convince him that they didn't go in the woods? Because they seem pretty darn sure that the kids did not go in the woods. Belinda is pretty, like, she is positive that the kids didn't walk into the woods. And if we can be real for just 1 second, how unlikely is it that the 20-minute time frame and the police were there very quickly, like within the hour of them wandering off, and they had infrared drones and the whole 9 yards out there, and even if just one dog, you're telling me that they missed them completely? It doesn't. That's not an avenue of investigation that I would waste my time down. I thought Durwood was there with her. On day 2, Durwood did stop in, yes, because Kent was in the, and I'm sorry, Kent, I don't know if you want people to know this, but Kent was in the private chat as well. And he was listening to this, and at some point, Janie got extraordinarily worked up, and she was crying uncontrollably. And so Kent had given Durwood the heads up, just that, Janie could use a friend right now. And that's just Kent's heart, right? Why was Daniel worried about his 2 missing shirts? Remember that? We will get there. Pink roses. We will get there. That's when we'll be waist deep in the mud. I think we're only going to go like knee deep today. Yesterday was ankle deep, and now we're like knee deep. And I'm going to call it here soon. I have to go pick up my car. But we'll get there. See what Durwood was there during the CBC interview. Yeah. Did I play the part where Janie explained that? Where she confided in Durwood because he didn't judge her. He didn't, I don't want to say he didn't question her, but he was somebody that was listening to her. So, and it's human nature to lean on people who are more accepting of our words. So she felt comfortable with Durwood, and yeah, he started spending time over there. And that doesn't mean that there's anything going on with them. I wish people would stop saying that, because there's no base in fact to even speculate there. And even if there was, who cares? I think Daniel's perception of conversations get twisted and perceived wrong. It seems extremely out of character for a dog handler in this sort of case to make such accusations. It does, unless it was planned for a purpose. And what seems even more unrealistic to me, that somebody would throw attitude at a dog handler investigator from a different province who's there to help search for missing kids, to throw attitude like, what, you've never heard of a wood stove? Or do you even know anything about this case? And for the investigator to say, no, not really, I saw it on the news once. I mean, to believe that is naive.
You got your show?
Very soon.
I'll play your car when you're done, and I have to buy open my truck.
Okay. I gotta go soon, guys. I do not believe that story at all, or the one that DM went under the trailer with the dog. So Scotia Leo, my information tells me that he did not go under the trailer with the dog. He was shining his phone flashlight under there for the dog, but he was never under the trailer with the dog. He was shining his phone flashlight. During a custody case, both parents are told not to disparage the other. 100%, and that's exactly when things changed with the way Daniel was speaking. Mind you, it was before that he suspected it was Haley that planted the blanket, that knew more than she was letting on. But you're 100% right. I try to put myself in their shoes, even though I've never been in this situation. But the thing is, my story would never change. Yes, I might remember small details as time went by, but not change. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm doing this, because I think that it's possible that I want to believe that it's possible that his inconsistencies, while are not based in him being confused, it's based on the dust settling and his memory becoming clearer. That's the premise of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I desperately want him to clear up some of the stuff that he's said. And I want to present it in a way that's non-threatening for him. And do I want him to come in here and straighten it out? I don't, because last night we saw what happens in chat when Daniel shows up. But I want to put the information out there so that it doesn't look like we're trying to catch him in shit. I'm just trying to put it out there so that he understands that if he were to clarify these little things that don't make sense, it could change the perception, and people would be more open to listen to what he says. Because at this point, I think that ship has sailed, to be honest with you. But I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Makes sense. His comment last night shocked me. He never said anything like it before. Which one? I mean, he didn't say a whole lot, but. And so cocky, 100% assurance. No one talks like that unless you know for 100%. It's different if you're convinced of something based in fact. But like I keep saying, if their theory was based in fact and the RCMP have that information, they would have run down those leads and the kids would be home by now. So I want them to open their minds and start considering other possibilities. Just like now he's turning in the cops when they are doing their job at the exact time. I do agree with you. It's just a scary sentence, weird as fuck. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I agree. It's all weird as fuck. I know I said this before, but can we discuss the shush? Did it happen? It did not happen. Now, was Belinda told that it happened? Absolutely. Absolutely she was. But again, why are we changing the story? Because we didn't just hear it from Belinda. We heard it from Derwin. So it came from somewhere. Are we talking about the condition of the outside of the trailer, or the fact that the kids have been marked absent 41 times in one school year? I mean, there are things to back up this statement that you've said here, but I'm going to move on because we're listening and we're not judging. Trying to. remember when this case first started with this case, when I first started with this case, I tried so many scenarios before looking at the parents. They just don't make sense. Agree? Start looking for bones instead of humans is what you were trying to say. I gotcha. I gotcha. And those dogs are trained to pick up decomposition, human remains. So, I mean, I think it's fair to say they are. Daphne, there was an argument on Friday when the kids were reported missing because there was drugs found in the bathroom. I don't know that that's a fact because, but I mean, then again, I don't know that it's a fact that there wasn't drugs found in the bathroom. So I'll just leave that out there. Just another one of those things that he said, she said. Missing pull-up means they went missing Thursday. How? How so? If they went missing Friday, how does that change the fact that wherever Jack went, he was wearing the pull-up? So I'd clarify, please. The drone's radar picked up heat from a swan figurine at night, so it would have definitely picked up Jack and Lily. Yeah, and it also picked up moss-covered rocks that the searchers tracked down, and every time it got a heat signature off of anything, they would track that down, rule it out. So yeah, the kids are not in the woods. He follows Justin in the house on video. Okay. When Janie was raking the ground for a so-called pool, did she rake footprints away and forgot one single footprint? Speculation, possibly. But I think Kent told me that the footprint was found inside a pothole. I love all of my children with my whole heart, but once they have kids, it's not about them anymore. I am that grandma who would defend my grandbabies first. That's just the way it goes. 100%. Like, mess with my grandkids, I dare you. Yes, in fact, I won't even get into it, but there was a situation with my grandson that caused me to sew those apple pod trackers into his backpack, and like I ordered them on Amazon and I had them shipped to my daughter to sew them in. There was a situation that I was like, don't make me drive down there, Shyla. You go and you deal with this and you do it right now. Like, don't mess with my grandbabies. Not that my daughter lets anybody mess with her kids anyways, but you know what I mean. Same. Carla, that's right, 2 fights, I forgot. But the altercation that Janie was talking about, I believe, like, that made her order people off the property, I think that was Saturday. I'm pretty sure that one was Saturday. Because, I don't know. Now you got me thinking. Someone asked what he missed most about the kids, and he replied something like, I miss the excitement of them, the excitement they brought. I was touched but shocked. Yeah. And I think I can understand what he's saying, because we know what it's like when we have little kids in our space. The energy in the room is just, for me, it's like too much. But I understand that. I'll tell him you said hi, Missy. Sorry, I gotta start buzzing. He's giving me the stink eye through the window here. He has shit to do, and I'm cringing on his work time, apparently. I appreciate everybody being here. Daphne, I want to say it's probably Kent's contact, the one that was going around putting up signs everywhere. Even the signs that weren't purchased, they were donated. So I think we can, yeah. There's also a person in the community where closer to where Malaya is living who also put up signs up in that area as well. So I'm not going to disclose anything else about that. It's not my info to give. I'm almost done. People are saying hi, Ian. Hello. Truth and Reconciliation Day was yesterday, and I did my best to try to acknowledge and pay my respects, and it was being a little flop because my audio wouldn't work. But I posted a video, and it's a thought that counts. I'm not married. So Truth and Reconciliation Day, I highly recommend people just do a quick Google search on YouTube and you'll come up with like a plethora of good educational videos, and none of them are really super long. So it's a cause. It's a day that we're to acknowledge what went on with the residential schools, the reasoning behind the residential schools, how wrong it was, and how it still affects the First Nations and Indigenous community still to this day. So. Okay. It was Saturday, Janie said that Malaya called her to come home when she was out searching and she wouldn't say what it was about, and Janie was afraid they had found the kids dead. Right. Right. Anyways, you guys, that's it. My time is up. Almost 3 hours. It's better than 4.5. I will be back. I'm gonna be on with Sunny tomorrow. I suspect she's gonna want to talk about the interview that you will not see here, but we'll see it over there unless you're gonna watch it tonight, whatever. But thank you all for being here. Again, I do not have an outro, but I seriously appreciate everybody being here and walking through this mud with me, and we will continue. Everybody's saying thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great whatever day it is today. See you soon. Bye.